People are strange.
I've got one that can see.
When you're alone, women seem wicked. When you're unwanted, streets are uneven.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 says, "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." The only way that we can combat an invisible enemy is if we have God and His power and the Holy Spirit and His love in our hearts.
Detective, what if I told you that God and the devil made a wager? Kind of a standing bet for the souls of all men.
I tell you to stay on your meds.
Humor me. No direct contact with humans, that would be the rule. Just influence. See who would win.
Okay, I'm humoring you. Why?
Who knows? Maybe just for the fun of it, no telling.
Oh, so it's fun. It's fun when a man beats his wife to death. It's fun when a mother drowns her own baby. And you think the devil is responsible. People are evil, Mr. Constantine. People.
You're right. We're born capable of terrible things. Then sometimes something else comes along. So it's just the right nudge.
Well, it's no educational, but I don't believe in the devil.
It should. He believes in you.
I remember many years ago, before I became a Christian, it was about 4 in the morning, and I was in a Denny's restaurant with a girl that I'd met at a discotheque. And as we were talking together, she looked at me and she said, "Steve, let me tell you a story." She said, "Some time ago I was at a party and I was watching this girl across the room who was drinking alcohol. She had all kinds of men around her. She was acting very suggestive and just evil. And as I looked at her, watching her, all of a sudden, something mysterious happened. It was like my eyes were opened and I could see the invisible world, and I saw all of these dark, sinister forms surrounding this girl. And then she looked at me and she said, "Steve, I think I saw the devil. I think I saw the devil." And I don't know if she did or not, but I wouldn't be surprised, because the Bible is very clear that there is a visible world and an invisible world, and we are in a battle between the forces of God and the devil, between good angels and evil angels, and we need to know that, and we need to make decisions to be on God's side and to resist the devil and his evil angels.
I call them Bodex. Hold on to their faces, I never met anybody that could see them before. Neither have I. Everyone told me it's in my head.
Well, you should stop telling everyone.
I tried telling my parents.
If I told my parents, I'd have spent my whole life picking winning lottery numbers.
You can pick winning lottery numbers.
No, I can't. Stay on point.
Right, yeah. Yesterday, when I finally saw one, I gave him the finger, Holmes.
Don't you know? If they find out you can see them, they will kill you. They will kill you. Months often pass when I don't see a single Bodag. When they do show up, it's a sure sign that carnage and bloodshed are not far behind. They don't cause it, they feed on it. The more Bodags that show up, the bigger the eventual feast. They are attracted to evil like bees to flowers. They know when death is coming and want to watch. They don't show up for any ordinary death. They want extreme, operatic violence and terror. Fungus Bob didn't just have one kill buddy. He had two. One more and they could buy group health insurance or form a rock band.
Let's check it out right now.
I don't know what this Thomas character knows, but I know that Robertson is stupid and careless. It's gonna get us nailed if we don't do something.
Relax.
Did Robertson ever find those photos of the mall he misplaced?
I said, relax. I'll take care of it. It'll look like an accident, all right.
When I find Robinson, I'm gonna kill him.
Already been there, done that.
Looks like their plan was to jump out at the end of the mall disaster like heroes responding to the call.
Shouting at them to get in the room, and then I suddenly saw the shooter about 20 feet from me, standing at the end of the hallway, actively shooting down the hallway, just a barrage of bullets. And I'm staring at him thinking, why is the police here? This is strange, because he's in full metal garb, helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor, shooting this rifle that I've never seen before.
We're walking the whole class together. I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nicholas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him...
You were walking down the hall. He had already fired at that time.
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was obviously definitely another shooter involved, but...
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
No, definitely not.
Why do you say that?
Because when shots were fired, I saw him after the fact. So, and the shots were coming from the other part of the building. So there definitely had to be two shooters involved, I believe.
Their classrooms to escape. This picture capturing kids trapped helplessly in a crammed hallway. Meanwhile, cameras showing school resource officer Deputy Scott Peterson waiting outside on his radio instead of trying to stop the gunman.
I think we got shots fired. Hostile shots fired. 1200 building.
5 minutes go by before police officers even enter the building. Cops using surveillance footage on a 20-minute delay to try to track down the armed assailant who had already escaped, according to the Sun Sentinel.
They are monitoring the subject right now. He went from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor.
I unlocked my door, and the kids just started pouring in my room. I don't know how many kids were in there, but I was pulling them and getting them in and shouting at them to get in the room. And then I suddenly saw the shooter about 20 feet from me, standing at the end of the hallway, actively shooting down the hallway, just a barrage of bullets. And I'm staring at him thinking, why is the police here? This is strange, because he's in full metal garb, helmet, face mask, bulletproof armor, shooting this rifle that I've never seen before.
Picture of him, and we just started sending it out to law enforcement. Me, Colton, and our first sergeant, we all got on our phones and tried to get through. We all had pretty crappy service, but we sent the photo out to law enforcement, and we're pretty sure it helped them arrest him.
Oh my gosh, and you guys prepared for this. You were telling me, Zachary, that you guys had went through something similar to this, right?
Yes, I'm in a program called Police Explorers with the Coral Springs Police Department, and we did some active shooter training a while ago, and I remember they said exactly, school shooters, they'll use the tactic of fire alarms to get kids to come out of the classrooms.
We had rumors going around the school that the police would do a fake code red with fake armed fake guns, not actual, but sounding real, and I thought at the beginning that this was it was all a drill. It was just a drill.
I assume that it's a code red drill because they told us earlier in the day that we're going to be having a code red drill. I assumed it was blanks.
They could be practicing a code red. They talked about doing this. They even talked about police coming on and, shooting blanks, to see what would happen, and I said, it's kind of weird.
I actually was in the bathroom at the moment, and I came back to my classroom and I knocked on the door, and the fire alarm went off, and principal came on the speaker and just said, everyone needs to evacuate right now. So that's what we did. As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking, the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nicholas Cruz.
And that's when he shoved the barrel of his gun through the window of the door and started spraying. So I looked up and I looked in the window and I saw him like firing through the window. And then at one point, he stopped firing altogether and just like peered in and looked in and then walked away.
Did you know who it was?
Not initially, no, because I was under the impression there was multiple of them because of how many shots were being fired. It wasn't until until I got to the hospital that I started making the connections, and then it clicked that it was Nicholas Cruz.
As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking, the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nicholas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him, he seemed very, I don't know what the word I want to say is, but
You were walking down the hall. He had already fired at that time.
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was obviously definitely another shooter involved, but...
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
No, definitely not.
I don't know when I decided it was the right time to close the door. I grabbed the handle with both hands, and that's when I got nicked, or grazed, or whatever you call it.
So a bullet hit your arm?
Yes. As I'm closing my door, I'm shouting at my next door neighbor, Mr. Scott Beagle, to close his door. And he's the kind of man that would just keep that door open a little longer. You know, he's all about the kids, you know, but he couldn't see the shooter. I had a good visual of him, which is why I yelled at him to shut his door now. I heard him shoot a barrage of bullets into Mr. Beagle's room. And then he came to my room and shot about 4 or 5 shots into my room, breaking the glass of my door. There's a rectangular piece of glass. And I heard him continuously shooting down the hallway. And I never really knew when he left because we just thought he was still there. It was so quiet, and then all of a sudden I hear helicopters outside, far, far in the distance, it seemed to me. Police officers far, far in the distance. Kids were screaming in the hallway for help. We're trained not to let anybody in the room. And I would say a good 45 minutes went by, maybe an hour, and when we heard the SWAT team come on the floor, but I still didn't trust that it was them because they were banging on the doors. Police let us in. No one got up.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down, when you're strange.